Good morning. Today we will discuss regarding programmable logic controllers, that is PLC. Now in every control process, physical quantity is sensed in the form of small current or voltage. For example, temperature, pressure, flow, level, etc. So these are called as sensors which senses that physical quantity. This electrical signal is amplified to a certain level, that is called a amplifier. Then amplified analog output is converted into digital form. So that is done with the help of analog to digital converter, that is A to D converter. This digital output is fed to the controller of the system to control the various physical quantities with the help of different devices. So these devices are PLC, that is programmable logic controller, then microcontrollers, DSP, etc. So this is a block diagram of the control process. So you can see the different elements of the control process. So physical quantity that is sensed by the sensor, then amplifier which increases the strength of the signal, and then that amplified analog output, it is sent to the A to D converter. So that in that analog signal, it is converted into digital signal, and then there is a controller which controls the different types of devices. So this is a block diagram of control process. Now what is PLC? A PLC is a microprocessor based controller that uses a programmable memory to store instructions and to implement functions such as logic, sequencing, timing, counting, and arithmetic in order to control machines and process. It uses an internal storage of instructions for implementing specific functions to make logical decisions and provide outputs. So, in short, it controls the various types of machines and process through digital or analog input or output. So, traditional concept of PLC. So, PLC performs relay equivalent functions. It performs on off control and it is designed for industrial environment. So, you can see the block diagram of working of PLC. So, you can see the different elements, that is input point, then the CPU, then output, and at the input there are sensors, and at the output there are actuators, there is a switches and the actuators. So the input devices such as sensors are connected to PLC and form switching devices. The output devices such as motors and valves are connected to PLC. So you can see in this block diagram, when only the program conditions have been met, the output devices are switched on or off based on logics of inputs. So you will get only discrete type of output, that is on or off, that is starting of the motor or stopping of the motor. Imagine you have a light connected to a switch. So in this diagram you can see there is a light switch, simple light switch, that is operate that bulb that is operated by a on off control. In general, the light operates under two conditions, on and off. Now you are given a task that when you turn on the switch, the light should glow only after 30 seconds. With this hardwired setup, we were stuck. The only way to achieve this is to completely rewire our circuit to add a timing relay. So that is a lot of hassle for a minor change. Now This is where a programmable logic controller comes into the picture, which doesn't require any additional wiring and hardware to make sure of a change. Rather, it requires a simple change in code programming the PLC to only turn on the light 30 seconds after the switch is turned on. So by using a PLC, it is easy to incorporate multiple inputs and outputs. So this is a benefit of PLC. So you can see the circuit diagram using the PLC. So different PLC functions, that is the control type and the functions that are given in this table. So control types, there is a sequence control, then advanced sophisticated control and supervisory control. And for that control type, we have various functions that are given on a right hand side. That is regarding the PLC functions. Now we will see the basic structure of the PLC. A typical PLC system has 5 parts. First is a central processing unit, that is called a CPU. Then input and output unit. So you can see in the diagram, at the center there is a central processing unit. On the left hand side there is a input unit. At the right hand side there is a output unit or input module and output module. Then programming device. At the bottom you can see the programming device. Then memory unit. You can see at the center there is a memory unit, and at the top, fifth is the power supply. So these are the 5 basic parts of PLC. Now first, that is power supply. So the power supply gives the voltage required for electronics module, that is input output logic signals, CPU, memory unit and peripheral devices of the PLC from the line supply. The power supply provides isolation necessary to protect the solid state devices from most high voltage line spikes. As input output is expanded, some PLC may require additional power supplies in order to maintain proper power levels. So you can see the power supply unit that is shown in a diagram. So it supplies the DC power to other modules that plug into the rack. In large PLC systems, this power supply does not normally power supply to the field devices. Then CPU, that is the processor, that is central processing unit. So CPU is the brain of PLC, consisting of a microprocessor which interprets the input signals and carries out the control actions according to the program stored in its memory, communicating the decisions to the outputs. The user normally enters the desired programs in relay ladder logic to the CPU. The processor receives the input data from various sensing devices, executes the instructions according to the stored program from memory, and sends appropriate output commands to the actuators and output devices. The power supply unit is needed to convert the AC voltage to the low DC voltage necessary for the processor and to power supply or to supply power to other circuit in the input and output interface modules. So regarding the processor module contains the PLC microprocessor, its supporting circuitry and memory system. The main function of microprocessor is to analyze data coming from field sensors through input models, make the decisions based on the user's defined control program, and return signal back through output modules to the field devices. So in this, field sensors are switches, flow, level, pressure, temperature, transmitters, etc. And field output devices are motors, valves, solenoids, lamps, and audible devices. Then next is input output unit. So input output section that consists of input modules and output modules. The input and output sections are where the processor receives information from external devices and communicates information to the external devices. Receives information from internal devices and communicates information to the external devices. So the input and output units are normally incorporated into the PLC in two ways. First is the fixed input output, that is typically a small unit that comes in one piece with processor, and other is the modular input where input output unit packed together. So you can see there is a fixed input output. So it is typical of small PLCs, comes in one package with no separate removable units. The processor and input output are packaged together and lower in cost but lacks of flexibility. That is for the fixed input output model. The modular input, that is the second type. The modular input where input output units pack together. So the modular input output, it is divided by compartments into which separate modules can be plugged. So you can see in the diagram at the bottom, you can see there is a input module that is shown and output module it is shown. So these are the separate modules divided by the compartments. So this feature greatly increases your options and the unit's flexibility. So you can choose from all the modules available and mix them in any way you desire. So in fixed input or IO module, the IO terminals cannot be changed. Whereas in a modular system, there are several compartments into which the IO module can be plugged. So input output configurations for the, you can see the modular input output. So module that can slides into the rack. So when the module slides into the rack, it makes an electrical connection with a series of contacts called a backplane. The backplane is located at the rear of the rack. Then IO section, that is input module, regarding the interfacing. So in both methods, the input system consists of modules that form the interface by which field devices are connected to the controller. So you can see in an input module, it forms the interface by which input field devices are connected to the controller. So the field devices are relay contacts, push buttons, limit switches, analog sensors, selector switches that are connected. You can see in a diagram. The term field and real world are used to distinguish actual external devices that exist and must be physically wired into the system. So you can see the input module, how it is connected, or how the different field devices that are connected to the controller. Then output module. It forms the interface by which output field devices are connected to the controller. So you can see there is a output module. That output module, it is connected to the PLC or the controller, and the different field devices like relays, motor starters, solenoid valves, indicator lights, LED displays that are connected to the controller. So PLCs employ an optical isolator which uses light to electrically isolate the internal compartments from the input and output terminals. So the objective of interface here is to interface the various input signals received from the sensors or switches, selector switches, or to send the output signal to output devices such as motors, solenoid, and indicator lights. So this is the objective of interfacing input and output modules. Then programming device. The programming device is used to enter the required program using ladder logic into the memory of the processor. The sequence of operation and ultimate control of equipment or machinery is specified and determined by the ladder program. The program device is normally connected to the controller. So you can see the PC with appropriate software. A personal computer, that is PC, is most commonly used for as a programming device. The software allows users to create, edit, document, store, and troubleshoot programs. The personal computer communicates with the PLC processor via a serial or parallel data communication links. Then another, you can see handheld unit with display. So this sometimes used to program small PCs. They are compact, inexpensive, and easy to use, but are not able to display as much logic on screen as a computer monitor. So another programming device that you can see, there is a handheld units are often used on the factory floor for troubleshooting, modifying programs, and transferring programs to multiple machines. Then memory unit. So it is used for storage of programs. So the memory unit is where the rules are stored in the form of binary digits at individual locations that are to be used for the control actions by the microprocessor. The user's ladder logic program the state of input output in the memory of PLC, the main program, and the other programs necessary for the operation of PLC. The organization of the data and information in the memory is called memory map. So there are two main types of memory, namely RAM and ROM. So the RAM means it is a random access memory and ROM means it is a read-only memory. So RAM is used for program and data storage. There is a need to provide a battery backup in order to prevent loss of any data when power is removed from the system. And the ROM is designed for PC operating system so that the information stored in memory can only be read. So the difference of RAM and ROM that is given in this slide. Then general architecture of PLC. So you can see the designing of the PLC. So different elements that you can see. There is a input module, output module, then the central processor, then the different data buses, then the address buses and control buses that you can see. So you can see here in this. So different address buses, data buses and control buses. So buses means, so these are the internal path along which signals flow are called buses. Then input output module and the central processing unit. So this is the structure or architecture of PLC. So PLC architecture. An open architecture design allows the system to be connected easily to devices and programs made by other manufacturers. Then first, so being A microprocessor based system, a PLC, consists of following elements. First is CPU, memory, and input output processing devices. So the first is CPU, that is central processing unit. The function of CPU is to control and process all the operations of memory and input output data in the system in accordance with the program. The CPU also houses the communication of circuits and power supply. The CPU executes the operating system, manages memory, monitors input, evaluates the user logic, and turns on appropriate outputs. In order to do this, the PLC is provided with clock signal to sequence its internal operations. Then the bus system. The internal path along which signals flow are called buses. So these buses essentially carry the information in the digital form. So there are three types of buses required in the PLC. So you can see the different types of buses in this PLC architecture, that is address bus, data bus, and control bus. So the first, that is data buses. So data buses, that is used for communicating data between elements. So communicating elements between memory and input output to the central processing unit. Then address buses are read the addresses of locations for accessing stored data. And third is control buses for internal control actions. So it is a path for transmitting of the signal. So the bus system is responsible for the signal exchange between processor and input output modules. Then it is a microcontroller based circuitry. The CPU consists of following blocks. These are arithmetic logic unit, that is ALU, then program memory, then process image memory, that is internal memory of CPU, then internal timers and counters, flags. So the essential elements of a microprocessor that is given. So the CPU module contains the microprocessor and its associate control circuitry. The control circuitry includes all the components excluding memory and peripherals that must be connected to the microprocessor to enable it to function. Then it monitors or registers are the parts of or and the monitors or registers are parts of the microprocessor used for temporary storage of data and address within CPU. Then ALU, that is arithmetic logic unit. The ALU is responsible for data manipulation and performs arithmetic and logical operations such as addition and subtraction. So it has no storage facility. And then the control unit. So the control unit is used to control the timing of operation and to control the units within the microprocessor to ensure that operations are carried out in a correct order. So these are the essential elements of the microprocessor and its function it is given. Then memory. So memory devices are where the control plan or program is held or stored in a controller. So memory, it is divided into two categories, volatile and non-volatile. The volatile memory will, or it is a memory, or the volatile memory is one that loses its stored information when power is removed. Even momentary losses of power will erase any information stored or program on a volatile memory chip. So it will lose its stored information if power is disrupted and can be easily altered, whereas non-volatile memory could provide the ability to retain the information if the power is disrupted. So some of the PLCs are used to hold system memory and some are used to hold user memory. So the common type of volatile memory is, so first is RAM. RAM means it is a random access memory, read or write. So the RAM is used, or RAM is for the user's program and data storage. It is designed so that information can be written into or read from the memory. That is called the RAM. The word random access refers to the ability of any location or address in the memory to be accessed or used. So the RAM memory is used for both the user memory, that is ladder diagrams, and storage memory in many PCs. Then non-volatile. It has the ability to retain stored information when power is removed. It may be accidentally or intentionally. These memories do not require battery backups. So common type of non-volatile memory, first is ROM. ROM means it is a read-only memory. The internal use and operation of the PLC require ROM to give permanent storage for the operation system. This non-volatile memory normally is designed so that the information stored in the memory can only be read and cannot be changed. Then next is PROM, that is programmable read-only memory. So PROM is a special type of ROM and allows initial and or additional information to be written into the chip and can be written only or can be written into only once after being received from the manufacturer. Then EPROM. So EPROM is a specially designed PROM and is programmed using a dedicated programmer. It can be reprogrammed after having entirely erased with the use of an ultraviolet light source. And EEPROM, that is, it is a non-volatile memory that can be erased using electrical pulses rather than ultraviolet light. The EEPROM can be electrically overwritten with new data. Then next element is in input output processing. The input unit provides the interface between the system and the outside devices, allowing for connections to be made through input output channels to input devices such as sensors and output devices such as motors and solenoids. The microprocessor is sensible to digital signals and therefore the signals are required to be manipulated so as to be acceptable to the microprocessor. The input output channel provides signal interface so that sensors and actuators can be directly connected to the PLC without the need for other circuitry. The input signals from sensors and output to actuating devices can be any one of the following or a combination. It may be analog, discrete, and digital. The main purpose of input output interface is to condition the various signals received from or sent to the external input and output devices. So you can see the different input modules. So you can see the analog input module. So typical input to these modules. For example, the pressure, flow, level, RTD, thermocouple. So the various input devices or sensors commonly used are the digital or discrete input devices. In that there are mechanical switches, proximity switches, photoelectric switches, encoders, temperature switches, pressure switches. Then second, that is analog input devices. In that there are potentiometers, LVDT, strain gauges, temperature sensors, pressure sensors, liquid level detector, fluid flow measurement devices. Then the output unit. So these modules act as a link between CPU and the output devices in a field. So the analog output devices are the control valve, speed, vibration, and digital output modules or the devices. These are the solenoid valves, lamps, actuator, dampers, pump valve, on-off control, etc. So you can see the different input devices. These are the push button, limit switches, then thumb wheel, then the level SW, flow SW. And the output devices, that is motor, solenoid, LED display, heater coil, and the lamp. So this is regarding the basics and architecture of programmable logic controller. Thank you.